Hello friends, welcome to another episode of 3-Minute Game Pass. I'm Nathan, and I'm going to tell you today whether this Game Pass game is worth your time and bandwidth. Today's game, or rather simulation, is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Is this newest entry in the long-running simulation series worth getting your pilot's license for on console? Let's find out. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is an Xbox and PC cross-release, including cross-save and Chivos. The most important thing to note is this is an Xbox Series console-only release, meaning only Series X and Series X can play it. It's also worth pointing out that this game requires an internet connection for its best gameplay and visuals. So what exactly is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020? Well, it's exactly what the title states. It's a simulation experience where you can fly a plethora of different types of planes, ranging from biplanes to Cessnas to jets, across literally anywhere on Earth. And that's not a joke or an exaggeration. Every single point of the Earth has been mapped out and rendered in this game, and you can just drop in and out anywhere you want, as well as take off or land in any airport. You can actively change the weather, the time of day, so on and so forth, no matter where you are in the world, or you can even set it to live and see actual flights happening, the actual weather, as well as other players currently playing the game. The game does have a variety of modes, including a training mode, long unguided travels, landing and taking off challenges and tutorials, and more. But generally speaking, the bulk of your experience is going to be setting your own itinerary, picking one of the few dozen planes, and exploring the world at your own pace. So what do I like about this game, in quotation marks? It is a technological marvel. Seeing the entire world rendered in real space, in real time, based on actual satellite data is a treat. You can fly over your own house, you can fly over areas you're familiar with. I just found that to be evocative and imaginative and absolutely worth experiencing. And speaking of detail, the number of planes and the details for their cockpits, how they fly, how they react to wind and weather, it's all here, and it makes for a very accurate simulation, which I found incredibly fun. And lastly, this game has a good variance of how much it holds your hand based on how much help you do or do not want, which means it plays great on a controller where you can kind of just use standard inputs to fly around. You can also plug in a keyboard and mouse onto your series console and play that way if you want a more complicated experience, which I think is pretty cool as well. When it comes to the bad, expect a lot of graphical variance, both based on what console you're playing on, be it S or X, your internet speeds, which determines how fast the land renders in, or which part of the world you're in, where some areas of the world are much better rendered than others, and yeah, some look just bad. The search on the map sucks. It only really seems to search airports. I know this is plugged into Bing Maps. Why aren't you letting me search just for the Grand Canyon or for some famous landmark? It's very strange how poor the search is implemented. And lastly, training only really covers a Cessna when it comes to the internal controls. You're on your own when it comes to controls of bigger jets or harder controls like that. It only really matters if you want to actually interact with the specific controls on a console of the plane, but it is a little annoying that it doesn't provide tutorials for the other planes. So as you know, rate games on a 3-point scale, must play, maybe consider, don't bother. This is a must play. To me, this is a monumentally exceptional experience, akin to something like Google Earth VR, but even more detailed. However, I do have a brief caveat before I go into my wholehearted recommendation. This game is massive. It's 102 gigabytes by itself, has an additional 26 gigabytes of detailed maps to download if you wish on top of it. If you're on a Series S, that's a quarter of your hard drive devoted to it. Despite that, I think it's absolutely worth checking out. Nothing like sitting around, vegging out, flying a bit after a long, stressful day. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Go out there and enjoy the hell out of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020.